Mommy's in a meeting. Because weight is a big topic, usually in pregnancy. Ready? I actually lost weight.
I'm not going to have a kid on somebody else's timeline. I'm glad you are talking about it.
Welcome back to Chocolate and Spice, Two Brown Women Talk. I'm Neha, the older, quieter sister.
Hey, I'm Nidhi, the younger and the chattier one.
Today we're asking a big question. Does age really matter when it comes to becoming a mom?
And we are comparing a very different motherhood journeys, support system, awareness, mental prep, physical exhaustion, and all the unspoken thing that nobody warned us about. So whether you had a baby young, late, or are still deciding, I think this is a very useful information and a conversation to listen. As you are older, I will start with you and ask you, did you always want to become a mom or did it evolve?
Oh, I definitely always wanted to become a mom. Um, you know, as an introvert, I had a very colorful inner life. And in my vision, even as a 13 or 14 years old, I remember like I was very sure I was going to have a kid and I was going to make breakfast with the kid and then I was going to go to work. And so all of that was very clear to me. And absolutely no one had to convince me to have a kid. Nobody necessarily encouraged me. And it was a dream come true for me. And I just couldn't wait for it. How about you?
We are so different. Like that's what this whole podcast is about, right? I mean, brought up in the same household, same parents, but so different. Like growing up, I never ever dreamt of getting married or having kids. Like I don't have a single recollection where I thought about some wedding planning or some baby names. That was never my thing. Like I always lived in the present, went with the flow. Like even after I got married, I was so happy with how my life was going on with that stage. I was happy with my partner. I was happy with the job I had, my friend circle. I was not even sure, tell you the truth, that I did want to become a mom. But my husband was very sure. He's a couple of years elder to me, and he was very sure that he wanted to become a dad. And he didn't have to do a lot of convincing. Like deep down, I knew I wanted to become a mom, but I was not sure when. And I was so hesitant about any change. But I'm glad I took that decision when I was in my early 30s because I think that I was in a better mental and physical state. So it just helped me become a better mom. Did you feel any pressure culturally or from family internally about having kids?
Hard to say what I would have felt because I never gave anybody the chance to push me. I got pregnant right
You did it
away.
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess if I delayed it, like you just talked about your journey, I guess if I delayed it, I would have felt the pressure. And for me, it was the opposite, in fact, because I got pregnant so early on. If there was any pressure, it was completely internal. The way I live is if I know I want something, why not go for it? And so for me, there was no point delaying it because I was just very sure I wanted to be a mom. But I know your story is very different.
Again, my story totally different. And yeah, I waited for quite a lot of years after I got married to have a kid. And you know how many fights I had with our mom on the same topic. And she was the one who would not pressure, I don't know if pressure is the right word, but she would ask about it so often that I would get so annoyed about having kids. Like, oh, you already turned 30. When are you going to start trying? When will you start having a kid? And that was driving me crazy. So one fine day, I just told her, you have to stop asking me these questions. So I'm grateful for that she gave me the space. But there were people who would remind me of my ticking, fertility and my age. And, I've been married for so many years and now you have to do something different, the typical thing. And I just paid no heed to it. I just listened and just ignored it. So
I really love your mental clarity. And that's what I meant when I said, 24 was so young. And a lot of people are very mature at, very young age. I was not. I simply did not have that mental clarity.
So what kind of support did you have? Like I know you were changing diapers before you turned 25. So what kind of support did you have financially, emotionally, and from the community?
So tough. It was so tough. I don't think I ever told you because already you were like, I want to be a mom.
Not sure.
I'm not going to carry you any further.
Yeah.
And I really doubt I would have done it with as much enthusiasm as I did it if I had known, what was to come. And So the story for me was like, of course, I was very young, but apart from that, I was in a very new country at that time. And just for reference, for those who are listening, I just moved to the United States, knew almost no one, and my introverted nature me meant that I made almost no close friends that I could lean on. I didn't have my family, like I obviously didn't have you or mommy or anyone else that I could really heavily lean on. So it was entirely on myself to figure out, how to manage the situation. And I absolutely did not think ahead. I did not imagine I would have any problems. But boy, was I worried after I got pregnant. Like, I was worried every step of the way. And I had absolutely no one, like, no one that I could share this with, because the only person I could share this with, at least in my mind at that time, was mommy, because you were so young, like you were in college or something, you wouldn't have even understood if I tried. And with mommy being so far away in India, I just didn't want to scare her or worry her or anything. So I didn't even know what to ask and what to say. And the more I think about that situation, now it's 20 years have gone by, right? So I can be very objective about my situation. The more I'm like, I'm shocked at how I managed everything with all my inner struggles. So it was like, I wanted to share all of this because it was not easy. Like, emotionally for me, the situation I was in, and for my husband as well, it was pretty new situation. And so we were both very new to the whole thing. And we didn't know how to support ourselves whenever we had a question. And so it was very tough, is what I'm trying to say. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, that is the difference for me. I, first of all, had you. And since I had it in 30s, I had been in this country, United States, for 7, 8 years. So I was pretty stable. I went to the business school. I had a job here. So I had already built a community, unlike you, where everything was so new for you. So I would have to say that I was more mature. I had your support. I had wonderful friends, co-workers, and one of my close friends told me the concept of doula. Like, doula is not really like midwife, but doula provides support prenatal, during the labor, and after having the kid. So that was the best thing I ever did. So anybody listening who is pregnant, or who is trying to conceive, I mean, I would love for you to consider doulas. And I found one from a local Austin doula company, and they were so amazing. They would come to our house and they would give us courses on how to take care of the infant, how to what to do when you go in the labor. And even when I went in, when I actually started having contraction, then I called my doula. She came in, she helped me labor in the house instead of going to the hospital for
Mhm.
so many hours. And that was such a beautiful experience for me, to be able to do that, go in the hospital, and within a couple of hours, Vikram was born. So I will so grateful for that support. And Ma was here to support me. So that was obviously added benefit. But I don't think I'm able to understand the struggles that you had, just because I had a pretty solid support. That was really helpful.
That's amazing. And how much did you know versus how much did you Google?
Google. So working with this doula really helped, because she had warned me, do not Google. That was the first instruction she gave me. It's like, there's way too much information on the internet. If you have any question, she already gave me multiple FAQs to go over. And she's like, I've been doing it for like 25 years. So I have so many experience for different kind of people. Every pregnancy, every motherhood is unique, but I still will be able to give you some tips. So I avoided Google at as much as I could. The hospital that we chose to give birth, that had multiple prenatal classes and breastfeeding classes. So I went to those. So yeah, Google was not my friend when I was pregnant, but I'm pretty sure your story is a little different.
180-degree opposite. Yeah. For me, it was all Google. And there was a book. I'm sure it's available now as well. It
Oh
was
God,
called,
I know the book, but tell people the name.
yeah, What to Expect When You're Expecting. So
That's
I
a
bought that.
freaking thick book, right?
Oh, I followed it. I read everything. You know me, right? I read everything, every page, every symptom. I tracked everything. And it was very handy for me. Like maybe because you had a lot of other information. For me, this book was like my Bible at that time. And again, I'm talking 20 years back. I do not have a point of reference of where this book is right now and if it's as relevant. But for whatever that information I got from this book was absolutely critical for me, because otherwise all I had was Google. So I had Google and I had this book. And also keep in mind, like in your case, maybe because you had heard about me, maybe I'd shared some things, and maybe you had some other friends who got pregnant. In my case, because I got pregnant so young, I'd not had no other experiences of other women to lean on. So nothing firsthand for me. And on top of that, I ended up getting gestational diabetes, right? Which was so scary. It was so scary. Everybody was shocked. The doctor was shocked. Our family was shocked. Just like extended family was shocked. Absolutely nobody in India at that time understood what it was. And so they were scared. And in turn, I was scared. Like it was a, all in all, a very scary situation. Are these things related to age? Do you think like anything is surprising about being a young versus a somewhat older mom?
I mean,
No.
now that you're telling your whole story, I just feel that since I got pregnant in my 30s, I just had a little bit more maturity and more support. I
Yeah.
mean, you saw me in my 20s. My maturity was nowhere where your maturity was. So you were different. You were always wiser. But I think pregnancy, motherhood is beautiful and challenging, intimidating at any age. But yeah, what do you think?
Age is not necessarily the factor, it is the maturity level. And you only a person knows for themselves if they have reached or not. And I really loved seeing you when you were pregnant, because I could compare my mental health and emotional struggles with your, and you were definitely far surer, far confident, far more aware of your body. With your confidence, you were making decisions that were for yourself and for your baby, which was very important. Like you were also making decisions for yourself, which is something also very, especially as a young mom, I tend to forget that, because in my mind it was all.
Overwhelming, right? Because it's overwhelming too. Like you're doing everything, you have nobody has set an example for you. Like you set an example for me. So from good, bad, and ugly of your pregnancy, I learned so much.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you didn't have the same benefits, so it is a different story, right?
In terms of like age, the thing that also I wonder about is, do we get treated differently, especially, by the doctors or by our family or society? Because in my case, like I said, I got pregnant very young. And when you're that young and you get pregnant, absolutely nobody will be bothered, because, your body automatically, ideally knows what to do. Of course. And then I had gestation diabetes, and like I said, everybody was shocked. And um and that's when everybody started worrying. So in my case, what I really, I tend to try to give a positive spin to things. I try to do that. And so for me, the thing that I learned from getting gestation diabetes is to really take care of my diet. I think that was when I realized how sugar and excessive carbs is not really good for your health. Like it was a clear indicator. And I learned food discipline. I really learned food discipline. I was usually okay with eating. So I know that for from the time that I was diagnosed with it to, my son was born, and several months after, I did not touch sugar. I did not eat anything that would have sugar in it. And I remember people telling me, hey, just eat one sweet or something, it's not going to matter. But I was like, absolutely not. I am not going to. And just from one day of eating a lot of sugar to another day, not no
Your
sugar.
discipline, oh, it's astonishing, right? It's
Yeah, I am astonished at myself as well. Like, like, how did I do it? And it has to be with, you know, especially with motherhood, you
yeah,
will do
it's
whatever.
not just for you. You might have not been so sincere. Well, maybe I'm wrong, but I'll finish my thought. You might not have been so sincere if it was just a type 2 diabetes for you, but since you were pregnant and now there was a responsibility of a living thing, you
Yeah,
were so cognizant. And the same with me too. Like, I mean, we both had gestational diabetes, even though it was early 20s, early 30s. So, I
yeah.
mean, we can just blame the bad genes for it. But I don't think there was anybody who did not take me seriously, especially the doctors. And I was aware, and I was aware of everything that was happening. I would go to the doctor with a checklist, and there was no ignoring me at that time when I would like ask all of my questions. So I made sure I was heard. I made sure I was given the time that I deserved and needed. And I'll give you an example. There was one time during the pregnancy, late in my pregnancy, I started having some unusual itching in my feet and my whole skin. Even though I was very well hydrated, I was big on moisturizing. And something just felt off for me. And then I asked my doula, I did a little bit of research, and there is a condition in which how the bile flows in your liver that can cause itching. It's very serious. It's very rare, but very serious. The doctor thought, oh, it's nothing, but I was like, I am concerned.
Mm,
And then they changed their tone and they were like, all right, so let's just do some blood work and see if it is really to be concerned about. So what I'm trying to say is like I stood up for myself. It turned out to be nothing. It was just
mm,
dry skin, and
mm,
but I felt good that I was heard. I stood up for myself. The blood test was done. It came back negative, and it just gave me the peace of mind I deserve. So that is something I'm pretty grateful for that I stood up. Yeah. And how was your physical recovery? Like after all the toll that our body takes, how was the recovery after that?
Yeah, I'm sure it's tough for everybody. Like everybody has their own unique stories. Pregnancy is such a hard thing. A lot of it depends upon your body. A lot of it also depends upon the kind of care you got before and after, during. And just like because weight is a big topic, usually in pregnancy, I will go flat out and say that I actually lost weight. And as for like my general well-being, I was not well at all, at all. And again, these are not things that I've shared with anyone. I don't think I've ever told this.
You are
And
not big on sharing these things anyway, so I'm glad you are talking about it right now at least.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And for a bunch of different reasons, I felt very sick. I used to have a lot of stomach cramps. I was extremely weak. I had got very, very thin, and I was extremely weak. And like I said, a new country by myself, not no help whatsoever. And so figuring out how to handle a baby and do the rest of the work, and while being also sick, was extremely tough. So it has as much to do with the fact that I did not prioritize myself at all, as much as the usual postnatal issues. And that's something like I'm sharing this because I'm hoping somebody learns from my mistakes, because I've learned since, like, it's very important to prioritize yourself as much as your baby. And especially as a new mom, you tend to feel like, oh my god, we got to sacrifice everything we can and want to make sure the baby gets the best, which is true. Yes, baby is completely dependent on us. But if you don't take care of yourself, you will suffer, and ultimately your baby will suffer. And for me, maybe the age was on my side because I was so young. I think my body somehow continued operating even though I was like absolutely negligent with it. But I would really, really hope, I really hope people know that it is very important. It is, okay to be self caring as much as you're caring for your baby. How was your journey, by the way?
Again, very different from you. I mean, I've always been big on self-caring, and because I think I don't know how to put it, but I think I thought so much before having a kid, and one of the reasons was because I did not want to lose my identity. It's like I love being a mother, and I but that shouldn't be my whole personality. And I know
Amazing.
it sounds again selfish when I'm saying it things like that, but I just wanted to have my own space, my own freedom to be myself. Because if I would have lost myself in just motherhood, then I would have it a little bit of playfulness and joy out of life would have gone away. So I was very mindful of that. And that is why I paid a lot of attention, unlike you, in my recovery. Anyways, I was also very lucky. I mean, again, as mentioned, in my 30s, having a kid, I had a lot of support. And I had seen so many people go through pregnancy. I had this doula care, which also provided the postnatal doula care. They would come and visit you, and I had lactation experts come to the house and help me breastfeed. I mean, I don't think you even heard of a lactation expert when you were in. So I had so much support. They would come, my doula would literally come and just sit and talk to me, just because she knows the mental state of a mom is not. And even though my my parents were still there, but there's so much household chores to do, and with a newborn kid who would never sleep, your whole your whole life is turned upside down. So I, it was recovery was a little bit better because of the awareness I had, especially from the doctors and the doula. Like doula was kind of convincing me to go not the epidural route, but and she said the choice is yours, and I was like, if I feel the need, I'm going to get it, and I did eventually get it. And after that, after having the kid, I had a second degree tear, and so at that time, she told me, Nidhi, this is not the time to be brave. As for very high dose painkillers. You'll get off them, but you need to provide for the baby. So don't be shy to ask for it. So
Mm.
I asked for it, and it really helped because the pain after that is like unbearable. And then she told me about the first poop after having a kid. Nobody talks about it, but it's a real thing, right? You know about it. We both have talked about it.
Yeah.
She told me about it. It's the awareness part that really helped me. There's nothing that can stop that pain that your body goes through, but the fact that you kind of know what's coming kind of helps you be better prepared. So I would say that all of these things really made a big difference. And I prioritized my sleep, my food, sleep trained the kid. There was no course sleeping and all of that, which was a little bit looked down upon by my parents and my in laws and a lot of people. But I did what I felt was best for me and my family. So,
Love it. Exactly. Like that's what I've been talking about. Like, absolutely love it. And it again, it may not necessarily be the age. It could be the age, but it also could be like, you understood, you thought about it, and you had this kind of wisdom. A lot of people have this wisdom very early in life, and
that's
the
true.
point is we should have that kind of wisdom as we make such a big decision about our lives, right? And did you have like, was there any relationship struggle, or not struggle, but how did your relationship handle this shift, massive shift?
We had like no clue. My husband and I had no clue what we were doing. I had this epidural high in the hospital, and after that, when it faded away, and I was home with a tiny baby, and I was like, what am I even doing? And a lot of people have this immediate connection to the baby. I know you did, like, oh my God, I'm all about the baby. I don't think I had that connection in the very beginning. I mean, obviously, I knew the baby is mine, and all of like I went through the pregnancy, but the anticipation of having a baby faded away because now the baby's here. And then there was not the immediate bliss that people talked about in motherhood, and that was a little bit of adjustment. I'm like, I haven't slept in days. This baby doesn't stop crying. My milk has not come in. My nipples hurt. And I'm like, what am I even doing? So, I mean, eventually that changed, but like, I wanted to, say this in case there are new moms who feel, why don't I feel like immediate connection to the baby? This is natural. And I read about it, like, is something wrong with me? And eventually in a month or two, it got much better. And I was mentally much better, so I was able to connect more. But initially it was so much work, even though my parents were here, but I was still trying to breastfeed. It was never natural for me. Breastfeeding was never natural for me. I kept doing it because I had put this pressure on myself, like just self-inflicted pressure that I should only breastfeed. I don't know, looking back, I was like, why did I do that? I should have just gone on formula. But I just put this pressure that I have to exclusively breastfeed, and that was not necessary. I don't think that is really necessary. Many people say it helps with the immunity. I think it does. My mental health could have been better if I would have done a mix of formula or breast milk, or taken a different route. But yeah, after having a kid, I think marriage never is 50-50. So after having a kid, again, you put a crying baby in the mix, that kind of changes the dynamic completely. So after that, the marriage it's always been like 60-40, 90-10. It's always different, and the fact that you make peace with it's what makes this partnership work. So we both try our best.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
like you said, like everybody reacts to seeing the baby for the first time very, very differently. And to me, I was like, oh, okay, so this is the baby that was inside of me. Oh, finally he's out and he's crying. And, to your point, like I was completely wrapped around him. Like my whole identity, and you talk about identity, my whole identity, I I think it was very organic for me. I did not think of whether I wanted or not. It was very organic. My whole identity since then became about motherhood, and took me a long, 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 long time to figure out this is who I am, and I am more than a
Yeah.
mom. But yeah, wow, amazing, amazingly different journeys that we had. Do you think there's an ideal age to become a mom? That's a very hard question.
Yeah, no, no, certainly not. I don't think there is any idle age. Whenever you are ready emotionally, mentally, financially, and the kind of and that kind of readiness looks different for different kind of people. And I would also like to mention that I don't think motherhood is one size fits all. It can look like a different kind of birth for different people, right? I mean, there can be a vaginal birth or C-section, surrogacy, adoption, fostering, step parents, single parents, same sex parents, and parenting pets. So there isn't one definition or a single timeline. What matters most is what makes you feel good and makes you feel complete. I think that is what it is. What do you think?
100%. I couldn't have said it better. There is no ideal age, and there are some people who are ready very early in life, and there are some people who are not ready at the age of 40. And so, only you know you, and you do you is how I have thought about it. And to your point, like, there are so many journeys that are so hard, right? Like, there are cases where people want to have babies and they're not able to, and they try, and it doesn't happen for them, and that's a story in itself. And then there are adoption journeys, like a lot of people go and adopt, and that's a beautiful journey. There is no book, and there is no template that will fit. I think we all can talk about our own experiences and help each other. But even if I had told you about each of my problems and each of my experiences, I don't think it would have influenced you as much, because your journey was so different and you had to make decisions for yourself. So I think going with the flow and figuring the right thing about your situation is important. And you can only do that if you know yourself really well. So, which is why, to your point, the ideal age is the age where you really know about yourself, you're self aware, and you have the confidence to make the right decisions for your body. Because ultimately, especially if you're going through pregnancy, it is your body. So we should all have the right and the power to be able to make that decision for ourselves.
Is that the advice you would give to your younger self?
Yeah, the only main advice I would give to myself is don't forget to take care of yourself,
Mhm.
especially the first few months to a year. A mom's body also has all of those hormones going, and I was very weak all of that time, and so my brain was actually now working as well, because I was very I used to have a lot of brain fog, and it was a lot of fuzzy details in my head. And so I sometimes wonder, like, if I had taken good care of myself, if I had asked for help, if I had shared my story more. I never shared my story. I never asked for help, not even from my husband. I was determined to do everything by myself, because I'm like, I'm a mom. Of course, I'll be able to do it. And that, I don't know why I had this absolute crazy, crazy thought process, but that took a toll on my body. And again, I think it was just the fact that I was very young that my body handled it. It was not advisable at all. So the key point I would tell myself is, first of all, be self-aware, and second of all, don't be afraid to ask for help, don't be afraid to share.
Don't be afraid to say no. In
Yeah,
my case, it was like say no to pressure, say no to other people's timelines, say no to other people's expectations.
yeah,
I just told myself, oh, I have a personal goal of breastfeeding for 1 year, exclusively breastfeeding. And it's not like he didn't get sick. And I'm saying this for the audience who's thinking that it helps immunity. I'm pretty sure there are researchers that breast milk does help immunity, so I don't want to take that away. But what I'm trying to say from my life experience is Vikram went to daycare, and every other month he had a ear infection or some kind of a thing, and he was exclusively breastfed. So I was like, you're supposed to have a great immunity, guy, little boy. How is that you come from your daycare all sick? So anyway, so I don't think that helped my case.
exactly. So hard, right? Like, where does age factor in all of this, right? So it's everyone has their journey, and then some of us choose not to have kids, and that's another big decision.
That's
And it's
another, yeah. And I
yeah,
wish more people talk about it, and that's what, like, everybody has their own journey, and that should be respected, and we should normalize that and respect
Yeah,
some women who don't want to be mothers, and it's a deeply personal decision, and nobody should question it, nobody should ask for an explanation for it, and everybody should make others more comfortable. Just because you choose a different route in your life, which is not very prevalent, which is not very normal, that doesn't mean that you are any less complete or loving or nurturing or womanly. So I think as a society, we should stop asking these questions of like,
absolutely. Like for you and me, right? When is the second baby coming? I mean, for me, it's all gone. I mean, this is no possibility. But for the longest time after I had my first baby, maybe another podcast could be like the pressure on the second baby, because I did feel immense pressure to have a second baby. So does age really matter when it comes to motherhood? Maybe a little, maybe not, but mostly it really just depends on each of us, right? There's no perfect time, there's no perfect plan, and we find our own way in our own time, and that's totally okay.
yeah, totally. And whether you become a mom in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or not at all, it's
Yeah,
every path is valid. And whatever that looks like, I hope you are giving yourself and each other more space, more comfort, less pressure, and way more compassion, something we certainly need as a society.
100%. And if you've been listening and thinking about your own motherhood journey, past, present, or future, we'd love to hear from you. Whether you're a new mom, a hopeful one, or not planning to be one at all, your story matters.
Exactly. And if this episode resonated with you or made you laugh, cry, feel seen, please send it to your friend. And don't forget, now you can find all our episodes, more pictures. We'll put more pictures about our pregnancy, our motherhood in the blog post and behind the scenes at chocolateandspicetalk.com. And as usual, I'm going to put in my plug of subscribe, give feedback. You can find us in any podcasting platform that you choose. And thank you for spending time with us.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.